In this video, you are going to learn how to do the letter D in graffiti for beginners, and go from something like this to this. You'll learn how to firstly create, and then how to stylize the graffiti letter D to make it uniquely your own, completely from scratch. By the end of this video, you are going to know everything you need to know about this letter, so you can then go off on your own and add it to your piece or your alphabet, or simply just have another letter down underneath the belt. So, follow along, get your pencil ready, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, time for the so-called boring stuff. The basic letter D, in which hopefully we are all familiar with and all use in our regular handwriting. It consists of two parts, this part and this part. Put these two lines together and boom, you've got yourself the basic letter D. Currently, this is just regular handwriting. To turn this into a block letter, all you want to do is go ahead and take these nice consistent bars and box up these lines to go ahead and create the most basic block letter. Simple, right? Here's what the lowercase looks like, and here's what the capital letter looks like. Get familiar with these steps before moving on to the next step, and the start of the fun part, adding style. But it's always important to go over the basics first. Now, for the fun part, before we dive right into it. Firstly, let's take a look at some common mistakes I see beginners making when it comes to styling with this letter. The first one is adding so much style that you can't read the letter anymore. Something that looks along the lines of something like this. Yeah, so we want to avoid that. You'd be surprised how the slightest style changes can make a letter read something completely different, which is exactly the case with this letter here. Extending this bar too far down can make it read the letter P. Here are a few more examples of things to watch out for. With the curved portion of your D, you want to make sure that it bends at a nice consistent width along. I often see beginners with different widths, something along these lines. Lastly, if you are doing a lowercase letter, I sometimes see short back bars that make the letter D read more like an A. Just something to look out for. Great. Now that everyone knows what to avoid, here's how you can start styling the letter. Only starting out with the proportions of the bars first in this video. With that being said, here are 6 ways to start styling your letter. Think of this styling as a second foundation to build on. But again, some of the best letters, and my personal favorites, are simply clean and effective. Here's what you can come up with. Starting out with the first letter, changing the proportions to a wide, curved portion of the bar. This one is pretty simple. This next letter here is pretty much the basic block letter, but all we're changing is that the back bar curves outwards ever so slightly, and that's it. This third one is quite different, kinking all the bars to form almost a triangular-looking shape. This next one is a combination of letters 1 and 2. By the way, if you haven't already noticed, not too much is actually changing, simply the proportions of each section. This is where you want to start, just like I mentioned before. Everything builds on these letters. Number 5 just has an angled back bar and a curved portion that sits towards the bottom of the letter. And lastly, finishing up with a combination of letters 3 and 5. Now, I just outlined all these letters to show you the finished results. One thing to keep in mind is how all these letters are perfectly formed and maintain structure. If you're just starting out, this is the bulk of what you want your letters to look like. Start low and go slow. Simple letters are always my favorite anyways. Now that we have figured out how to style the letter, let's take a look at how we can take this one step further. With the letter D, you are pretty limited with the places you can extend out of and extend form. Without distorting the letter, these are some ways you can naturally extend the letter. You can extend out from the top and bottom in any direction. That's pretty much it as far as it goes with the so-called natural extensions. Any further, and it gets complicated. In a future video, I'll take this further and cover some more advanced techniques. But for now, just keeping things nice and simple. Hey, are you still with me? Okay, great. Just checking in. Real quick before we carry on with this video. I hate to interrupt, but I definitely feel like it's worth the interruption. If you, yes, you, are looking to start learning graffiti, then check out the ultimate quick start guide I've created in the description below. It'll help you create your first tag, piece, and throwy with ease. If you want, of course. Alright, back to the video. Now, come through the process of building and stylizing a letter D from start to finish. Nothing too crazy, just a solid letter with a bit of flavor to it. Starting out with the sketch of the letter. So, just starting out with a small angled back bar here. This shape will dictate what's going on with the rest of the letter. Then I'm just going to use 2 bars to form the rest of the letter, splitting the original curved shape into 2 parts. Instead of having these bars perfectly straight, I'm going to have them bend ever so slightly so that they fan outwards on either side. Of course, keeping the structure intact. I'm going to have this bottom portion extend outwards, bringing the end back in with a serif, aka just an extra part to the end of a letter. I'll be honest, I have no idea where I want to take this letter, so we'll see what happens. Now that I have this basic shape, I'm just seeing what I want to change and develop in certain areas. Widening the ends, adding extra elements. Really, I'm just seeing what's working and what isn't. All technical terminology and jargon aside, I find that when you're building letters, they pretty much speak to you in a sense, and you'll be able to visually tell what works and what doesn't. Again, I'm not too sure where I want to take this letter, but hey, it will sort itself out. As you can see, I'm just exploring where I can take this. I don't particularly like this long added serif on the end. It feels like a bit of an outlier, so I'm going to shorten that up completely. I'm also playing around with this back bar here. I'm actually just going to take it through the bottom bar of the D, so it tucks in behind and cuts through the middle. I added this extension, but honestly, I'm not a fan, so I'm getting rid of it. It distracts from the letter completely and doesn't really make sense. It was a nice try. Less is always more, as I like to believe. But why not go for it? You never know how things will end up. Just finishing up this basic sketch with a few bits and pieces here and there. And then it's time to move on to the fill and the outline. Starting with the outline first for entertainment purposes. I'll be honest, since I'm not doing the fill in first, there was no need to erase before the outline. My apologies. Anyways, just a thin round tip Molotow fineliner for the outline. Nothing too fancy. I don't know why, but I have all these fineliners and half the time I end up using my Sharpies. Is anyone else like this, or is it just me? I've been loving the thicker outlines as of late, so I'm going to be rocking one of those for this outline. Cleaning all the connecting points up with a pen to bring it all together. Alright, outline complete. Now it's time for the color scheme. Just going for a 2-color combination of aqua and teal blue for the fill-in. I'll have a video coming soon about fills, don't worry. Again, nothing too complicated here, just alternating between the two, blending each together. I'll go back over the aqua with the teal, just adding some extra details. Moving on to a pink and magenta bubble background. And from here, that's the letter pretty much complete. Not much more to it. Just adding some cuts, aka lines across the bars, to add some more details. This is by far the simplest way to do so. Then of course, highlights and lowlights plus a drop shadow. Can't forget the drop shadow. I'm just using a gray for the shadow. It works great and looks clean. And there you have it. That's how you do a graffiti letter D in Graffiti. Comment the word G if you made it all the way until the end of the video. As always, stay fresh. And I'll see you in the next tutorial. Get ready for consistent uploads. We are officially back in business. Stay tuned.